Welcome to the Best Damn Podcast. This is your host, Jill Lagan, CEO of the Boulder City Chamber of Commerce. In each episode, we will highlight what makes Boulder City, home of the Hoover Dam, the ideal place to operate your small business, explore world-class tourism attractions, and discover why we are the perfect place to live and unwind. Good morning, good morning. This is a great day. We are interviewing and getting to visit with a great friend of mine, Miss Jessica Whittaker from Silver State Stitch Shop. And this is such a beautiful location. It's a beautiful business and a beautiful lady. And so we're really glad to have you today. Thanks, Jessica.
Thanks so much for having me.
So today we get to talk a little bit about an entrepreneur, but an entrepreneur that was born and raised in Boulder City. So very excited about that because I really do think that we have raised some amazing individuals in Boulder that have taken on some great leadership positions, but also great businesses. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, no problem.
So tell me a little bit about Silver State Stitch Shop. What is it that you do?
We provide materials and classes and inspiration for people to get into quilting and cross stitch. Every once in a while, we venture out into other forms of handicrafts such as crochet, knitting. We're doing a little bit of embroidery in the coming months. We've got a paint class coming up in a couple of months.
Painting.
Yeah.
That's new, yeah. Well, very good. So you are located in the Historic District. Mm-hmm. So what's the address of Silver State Stitch Shop?
We're 1229 Arizona Street. We're right next to the Boulder Dam Theater and the historic Boulder Dam Hotel.
And so who is your target audience? Who do you like to have kind of as the people that come and check out the shop?
We want anybody who is interested in learning about any of those previously mentioned activities, or somebody who maybe did one of them and is looking for inspiration to get back into it. We offer a lot of social events where you can not only make new friends, but you also pick up a lot of skills by doing things with a group of people. So
it is very social.
Yes, very social.
Every time that I've been in, you've had classes and stuff going on in the back room, and those little ladies are back there giggling and carrying on. I'm like, how the heck are they getting anything done? It just seems like yeah, exactly.
And that's okay.
Seems like a great fun. In fact, the last time I was there, you were showing a video of, if I'm not mistaken, it was a crime, like a television show, a crime show or something, and somebody had been...
Some of the groups get a little true crime podcasty. Like, we'll watch like a clip of something if it's funny, or we'll talk about a lot of different like current event true crime stuff that's going on, try and solve it ourselves. We solve a lot of problems in clubs.
The law enforcement should be looking to
Exactly.
you guys, because I would imagine you have a lot more information and knowledge about the tools that are being used. Yes, I thought that was awesome, and those ladies were having so much fun. But have you ever had any gentlemen join any of your classes?
We have several gentlemen who join us. We have one I can think of does both activities, does cross-stitch and quilting, Victor. Wow. He's a good friend of ours. But every once in a while, we'll have a new guy quilter. Quilters can be all different ages. People always assume it's an older lady, but we have all different ages, and we have both boys and girls that get involved in those activities.
How young is your youngest audience member?
We've had I'd say probably like late teens. A lot of times if your grandma's doing it or your mom's into it, then you've picked up. That's kind of how I got into it. My mom was a quilter, so she just carried me along to a quilt class when I was 18, and here we are now, 25 years later. So
that is so fun, and she's an amazing seamstress too. Yeah. So a lot of talent and creativity, and so I think that's awesome. And so this would be a perfect time for me to also mention that your beautiful daughter happens to be Little Miss Boulder City, and we are so proud of her. Do you think she's going to be as creative as you and interested in quilts?
Oh, for sure. We just had her Valentine's Day party last week, and they had a free drawing activity where you had to turn a heart into something else. And I was so proud. She turned it into a quilt with a big heart in the middle and decorated it, and then announced to everybody that I was going to make that quilt for her. So she's designing all the time.
Yes.
She'll come into the shop and kind of take down the SKU numbers of the fabric she thinks should go into a quilt. So she's already creating her own ideas about what a quilt should look like and how she wants a quilt to turn out. And her and my mom are working on making a quilt for my mother-in-law, who loves flamingos. So they're working together on that.
How fun is that?
Yeah.
What a great opportunity for grandmas and granddaughters to bond as well. Yeah, that is awesome. And I find it fascinating that she's interested in the SKU numbers. She's watched Mom take inventory and even understands the technology side of how to maintain a business.
She's learning a lot about inventory and that sort of thing.
That is crazy. I know you just recently did that too. So that is awesome. So in your classes, you also talk about retreats. Will you describe what the difference is?
Perfect. So a class is like a couple of hours or a day-long event where you're working on projects. A retreat is just that supersized, so it's usually 2 to 3 days worth of whatever that is. So we have quilting and cross-stitch retreats. They both look a little bit different, but essentially the same thing. We always cater lunch from local eateries in town. This last one we used Southwest Diner and Hangar 502 catered lunch. We've used, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, it's been so many months since the last one, but we just try and keep it local with the food options.
Yeah.
And because we're located downtown, a lot of people will walk for dinner or breakfast to one of the local downtown eateries.
So are people coming to stay overnight for these events?
We have the first retreat we did, people weren't sure what that really looked like. And so people were planning to go home. By the second and third retreat we've done, more people are booking their hotel at the Boulder Dam Hotel or at the Best Western because they want to park their car at the beginning of the weekend and be able to walk to all the fun stuff that we have going on for the weekend.
Right.
So
that is awesome.
Getting your steps in at the same time.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
And so then do they just offload all of their machine and their stuff?
Yep.
And
so for quilt retreats, there is a lot more equipment that has to go, obviously a sewing machine and all the accessories that go with that. So yeah, usually the first morning is a big offloading. Everybody's offloading into the room, and then they move and park their car someplace. And for cross stitch, a little bit less cumbersome. You have a lot smaller projects, and you don't have a machine to carry.
Right.
So, yeah.
I love that. The whole idea of this little mini activity and mini movement of all the action, I think that's awesome. And just the idea that people are getting together, there's that social aspect, sometimes a little bit of counseling, I would imagine, goes into it. You guys are a good support system if somebody has something bad that happens in their life or something positive. They've got somebody to share these great things with.
Exactly.
So you guys are such a tight-knit community as well.
For sure. I mean, there's people in the groups now that I've known since I was 18 at the first Fiddlesticks quilt shop that was there that have come back and have been re-inspired to get back into the craft of quilting or cross-stitch, that sort of thing. The classes are like a mini retreat, and a retreat is just like a full package, like a spa weekend kind of thing.
Oh, right,
because
right.
You don't have the distraction of having to do house chores or getting distracted by, I should probably be doing that before I get back to the activity. So it's fun, focused time.
No guilt. It's
Yes,
all fun.
exactly. Self-care.
I love that. And so what is your favorite part of the stitch shop, but of just this being an entrepreneur and this new endeavor?
I think the best part for me, I'm naturally an introvert. So this is the only area that I can really stretch my legs and get to know new people. And the new people that we've met and become good friends with through the shop is amazing. And I especially enjoy the shopping for the shop part, like buying products. Yeah. That's the best part because, as my husband says, I'm a professional shopper.
Awesome.
So it's like shopping for me, but for everybody else at the same time.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. I also am a professional shopper. It's a skill set that I should put on a resume someday. So can you tell me an aha moment you have had as you have, this hasn't been open that long. How many years you guys been open?
We opened in May of 2024. Yeah, just trying to track it. May of 2024. It seems like it's been forever and not very long at all.
You moved in the middle of that.
Yeah, we moved halfway through. So we are our current location is only about 1 year. In May, we'll be there a year. For an aha moment, when we started out, we started on a spur of the moment kind of thing and had a cross-stitch retreat that we hosted at the multi-use building. And so I was scrambling to get everything set up for the shop, the point of sale, all the inventory you put in for that first cross-stitch retreat the month before we actually opened the brick and mortar. And in the hurry, I accidentally put our home address down for some part of the point of sale system. And luckily, some of the attendees were nice enough to let me know afterwards that they now had my home address and they just want to make sure I didn't leave that on there when the actual brick and mortar opened.
Right.
So luckily they've all turned into great friends and nobody.
You'd invite them to your home
exactly.
anyway.
Some of them have been to my home now, but
Right.
it was just a funny like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I didn't go back and
Catch
check that beforehand. So yeah.
There's so many learning experiences,
Yep.
but also with the clientele that you have, like you said, thankfully they're all great people and you have great relationships with them. So
For sure.
that is one of those interesting learning moments. And maybe somebody else will learn from that as well. I would imagine that you aren't the first and you probably won't be the last.
Yeah.
I think that is great. So tell me about all the services that we can find at Silver State Stitch Shop.
So the biggest service that we offer that most other shops in town don't offer because we have the space for it is long arm quilting, which is basically the process of putting together the top that you've pieced and backing and batting and doing the stitch design that keeps all 3 layers together. We do pretty brisk business with that. People are constantly dropping off 1 or 2 quilt tops at a time.
Right.
Majority of quilters are going to be piecing different various sizes of quilts, and most of us can tackle like a baby quilt, which is like 36 inches square on our domestic machine, but it gets harder to fit a twin or a queen or something bigger through your domestic machine and still get a result that you really like,
Right.
which is why you bring it to the long arm quilter, which is me. In fact, my dad is the reason why we have this shop in the first place. When I was 18 and turning out quilts and mom was making quilts, he was kind of an engineer's mind and thought, you know what, we'll solve the problem of having to spend money on other people quilting. We'll buy a long arm machine. So that most 19-year-olds don't have a long arm machine or the skills to do that, but that was my special talent at 19 was learning on a long arm machine and long arming when I needed extra cash for college and just kind of a side job. So 25 years later, we still have that machine. It's been moved to my mom's house so that we can use it for more custom work because she's very detail-oriented, that machine. And then we just upgraded in December to a bigger, faster, more computerized version. The brand is called Innova, and it really whips through quilts much faster. So it lets me get more done in a day.
Yeah, I've watched you setting them up and getting them started. I find it fascinating that technology has created such a critter.
Yeah.
I remember being at Georgia Wasden's house and people dropping off bags and bags and bags, and she was just always so busy. So I can only imagine there is a demand. And let's take that back to the basics. How important is it that we continue to teach generations about this skill? Because this is so important.
For sure. I mean, obviously there's studies out there that show the connection between your mental health and being able to produce like creatively products. And so it's the gratification of completing a project, obviously, but it's all the steps in between from imagining what it's going to look like, designing it, and there's varying levels of it. Some people prefer to buy a kit that's fully decided and organized in terms of color, and all you're doing is following the directions to get to the end of the project. Some people like to do as much as dyeing fabric to create a pattern to create a quilt. So anywhere on that spectrum, no matter what brings you joy, is what you're going to kind of lean into. And then same thing for cross stitch. They have a little bit smaller scale items, but you can always choose to change the colors, change the fabric, change whatever you think you want your project to look like. We always say there's no quilt police. There's also no cross stitch police. And the designer's not going to hunt you down and be like, that's not what I said to do. That's not the color I said for that bumblebee.
Right.
So you really get free reign, and whatever you like, you can continue to recreate that. I personally am allergic to curved piecing. I don't do it. I'm not interested. It's not for me. Some people, that's all they do is curved piecing for their quilts. There's just different techniques and stuff that people really get into. EPP, which is English paper piecing, is a hand quilting technique that's kind of on the rise again, and we have some supplies for that. We haven't done any classes for that, so we don't have as much for that.
Right.
But yeah, there's a lot of different avenues you can go down in both of the hobbies.
So you had referenced that when you have classes, you try to create the supplies so people can purchase in the retail front section, retail items, whether for a class or just for in general for their own purpose and their own use. Like you said, there's pre-assembled kits that people can purchase. They can also see all your examples of the quilts that you have made that will be future classes, or potentially somebody else has made them and they might have them there for display. You have the class area, its own little designation, and everybody has like their little tables, and it's a super cute and comfy space. And like you said, it's in a walkable area within the historic district. So it lends itself to being the perfect location. But I also want to throw back that this was the original Fiddlesticks, and thanks to Nancy Bowen for introducing so many of us in Boulder City to what a quilt shop looked like.
Exactly.
It's so fun that it's right back in its home.
And she's even really the inspiration for the quilt retreats. I'd never been to a retreat. My mom had never been to a retreat until Fiddlesticks used to host retreats as well. Theirs looked a little different because they would do it at what was the old Boulder City Hospital. Or retreat center. And that was awesome because you could go in your pajamas downstairs to quilt all day and sleep for a couple hours and then go back down in your pajamas again. And they would usually have somebody on staff to cook all the meals, so you weren't hungry ever.
That is great. I had forgotten about that being all over there.
Yeah.
I was working for Jody Bacon at Periwinkle Cottage, right around the corner, and she and Nancy were partners at a time. And I just remember all the people coming and going, and it was a happening place.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a social hub then too, right?
Yep, for sure. I think for me, realizing in 2020 when everybody was isolated, everybody has a craft, well, at least everybody I know has a craft room, a sewing space, someplace in your home that's dedicated to that. But like I said, it's so much more fun to do it with other people, around other people. You get inspired by what they're doing or learn something, pick something up. And then obviously it's just fun to gab with your friends or make new friends. So
yeah, I think and can be inspirational. And also I would imagine you guys bounce off each other's creativity.
Oh, for sure.
Like, I pieced this together. What do you think of this color combination?
Should we
People are like, I don't know about that. But
exactly. Like there's always some new choice to make when you're designing or putting together a quilt. And a lot of times we'll just have a whole pile of fabric on the main cutting table and taking votes, like, what do you think of this combination? Or like, what do you think about this?
I love that.
Yeah.
And I remember last time I was in, so Lexi, my daughter Lexi, has really taken up cross stitch and embroidery and crocheting. She's just got this new creative bug going, and I love it. She got a sewing machine for Christmas, and she's got a Cricut for her birthday, and so she's loving this whole aspect.
Yeah.
So while we were in there, we were visiting, and I had asked you about, okay, so I'm an absolute beginner, but you even supply machines. You've got machines there for the classes.
Yeah, we do. Right now we stock vintage Singer featherweights, and they are ideal for us because they're low maintenance. They were designed in the 30s and 40s for housewives to be able to maintain on their own in their home and do sewing. So they have a very easy, basic. It's like, I compare it to cars, a vintage car, being able to keep up with that. There's no computers, there's no extra stuff. You just replace parts as they're designed to wear out, and it's very easy to handle.
That's awesome.
Versus a more modern car or sewing machine usually has computer components or areas that you can't really access as easily. So we have, I think, we're up to 5 of them that we can rent at one time, and they're only for use in the classroom, but they're very basic and simple, and anybody can learn how to thread and use them pretty quickly. And if you have an issue, we're right there. We can usually figure it out.
I love
switch
that.
you to a new machine.
I think that's a great way to invite people to come and try it.
Yeah.
Even if they don't find that it's their favorite pastime, at least they've given it a try, and they can figure out some of those basics. Because going back to some of these heritage arts, I worry that we're going to lose these skills and we're not passing them down, and people aren't learning how to can and bottle and dehydrate and quilt and sew and fix things because AI is going to do it for us. And
exactly.
so loving that even your basic machines go back to basics so that we're not buried by all of the technology and all the extra.
Now, don't get me wrong. I have a very fancy, high-powered sports version that's a Bernina. It's got all the bells and whistles, and it does things for me that my Singer Featherweight doesn't. But when you just need to sew a straight seam, it is consistently perfect every single time.
I would expect you to have the best of the best at this point because you've gotten to that point. But I would be terrified, and there's absolutely zero reason for me to do that.
Yeah, it's overwhelming for a beginner, for sure. And even some of our, especially our quilt clients, are generally of an older age. They don't want to have to pack up their fancy, super expensive from home one, it's hard to lift in and out of a car.
Right.
Two, you increase the chance of possibly breaking something, which, like a fancy car, is expensive to repair.
Right.
So we have quite a few people who consistently rent the featherweights, not because they are beginners, but because they don't want to have to lug their home machine to the shop for a day of sewing. So they'll rent one for the day that they consistently are just using that same machine.
And it's easy. I love that. I love that you make it easy for everybody. I am wondering if there is something that you have learned. I know that Miss Patty is the one that has really inspired you. Are there other life lessons that your parents have taught you? Your dad got you that long arm, which really kind of kick-started this thought process. But I know you as a child, and I know that they have built great character in you. So is there something that you can think of that they have shared with you?
Well, both of them very talented and artistic on their own. My mom always says she's not, but she is. She just doesn't give herself enough credit. But both of them really set the example of working hard at whatever you're doing and doing it to the best of your ability, but also taking time to balance that with your life, your interests, that sort of thing. And so I mean, this is basically the marriage of everything in one, with the support of my husband, and obviously my daughter's always in there trying to help out. It's like the best combination of everything. I've worked a real job out in the real world for over a decade and decided this is much more fun to get to do something you love and also help other people come and find that same inspiration and joy is huge. So
an expression of their creativity.
Exactly.
So what was your first job?
My very first job was with Miss Amy at Dance Etc., which is where I met you, obviously. I started that summer. I turned 16 in June and started steam and costumes that year. I will never forget the feeling of being in a room just full of steam and costumes and the smell of it.
Sequins getting all steamy is not a good smell.
No.
I do.
And also, they're just body smells in some of those costumes that have been around a while.
Leftovers.
But,
well, and I know that you learned a great deal from just that experience.
Oh, for sure. It was not only, obviously, it was hard work doing some things and learning different aspects of stuff, but Miss Amy was a great role model of that professionalism and doing things to the nth degree, I feel like, in terms of helping people, getting people inspired. All of that is involved in obviously running a dance studio, I feel like. And she was an excellent first example of a woman who was an entrepreneur as well. So.
Yeah, she was an excellent entrepreneur, excellent businesswoman, as well as caring.
Oh, for sure.
So I have witnessed in other studios in the Vegas area surrounding Southern Nevada to get a hug, or actually even on television, some of these crazy things we see on reality shows, to give a child a hug is just unheard of, right?
Or conditional at the least. I feel like Miss Amy was open and warm to every person that she came into contact with. And I try and repeat that as well. You know, like we want you to feel like you're coming home or coming to a fun place where you get to hang out with your friends, like Cheers, where everybody knows your name. Kind of thing. You want to come to some place that's comfortable. You don't want to be challenged as well as by having an uncomfortable experience in a place where you're trying to be creative and relax.
And creating a sense of community. And she was all about community as well. And I have noted that you're really taking that to the next level too. Can you tell us a little bit more about Wrapped in Gratitude?
Wrapped in Gratitude. So we always try and contribute to anything that has to do with veterans. We take a donation. If you want, you can round up for Quilts of Valor, which is a larger, I think it's international. But it might be international, where they make, obviously, quilts or take donations to create quilts for veterans of all types. And we have been lucky enough for over the past 12 years to get to participate in an activity because of the company my mom used to work for, American Airlines, participates in something called Salute to the Troops. It happens around Veterans Day weekend. American Airlines and a bunch of other large sponsors fly wounded warriors in from Bethesda Hospital and all the different military hospitals into Las Vegas for a weekend they get to stay on the Strip, they get to go to fancy dinners and shows and all that kind of stuff, all, you know,
we probably don't want to know all of it.
Oh, yeah. But they can opt to do, I think they do like a Grand Canyon helicopter tour option. I mean, they can choose what activities they want to do.
Lots of attraction-based,
And one of them is going to see the dam. And so usually there's 2 days worth of busloads of veterans who are coming out to see the dam. And then Cindy Ford at Southwest Diner is so kind. Every year she caters a box lunch for them, and we have it down at Hemingway Park. And for years, we've been bringing our personal quilts to spread out for people to sit on, see the sheep, and eat their lunch. And every year, everybody's like, oh, I just love these quilts. Just love these quilts. And so last year, I'm sitting there going, hey, we could give them a quilt.
Yeah.
Hey, you like that quilt? Well, thank you so much for your service. Here's that quilt.
That's awesome.
And so we're working. I figured if we got an early enough start, we'd be good to go by November. And so we've reached out to a bunch of the local guilds and obviously our community that we have at the shop. And we've got quite a bit of traction of people producing quilts, working on quilts, planning quilts so that we can have quilts to gift them. And we're encouraging the quilters who are making them to add a label saying thank you or add a card that you can attach to it if you don't want to do a label. Just expressing your gratitude for those veterans because they have served and done a lot for our country. So
I love that. How special is that? I bet you they leave that weekend with such a warm experience.
Exactly. We're hoping
wrapped
for that.
In gratitude. I love that. And can you also tell us a little bit more about stitches in the sanctuary?
Yes.
I'm excited about this one
Yeah, we're
too.
coming up on that one. We're starting to collect quilts for that. So I was talking to my friend Barbara, who's a parishioner at St. Christopher's Episcopal Church, which is just a couple blocks away from us on Arizona. And we had talked about how nice it would be to do a small quilt show because, like you said before, we don't want the craft to die out. And part of that comes from changing people's idea of what a quilter is to something historical as to being something contemporary. Like people are still doing quilting and people are still creating and crafting. It's not something you go see in a museum. Unless we let it die, I guess. It would be something in a museum only. And so we kind of talked about it when we were at our previous location. And when we moved to the new location, we're like, let's just do it. We'll pick a date. We'll make it happen. So we're starting out this year with kind of like a trial run. We're testing out all the things. We're going to have up to 60 quilts displayed on the beautiful pews inside of St. Christopher's.
Yes.
The inside part is nice because we don't have to deal with wind or anything like that.
Oh, right.
The dream is someday it gets big enough that it has to occupy a whole park and the church kind of thing. Right. But for
Such
right now...
Such a beautiful chapel, too.
Yeah, it's so pretty with the stained glass. It really is going to make that whole space look amazing with color and stuff. So we're already accepting people's quilts and tagging them and stuff like that and organizing as they go so that the 27th is when we're going to set up in the morning, and then it starts at noon on the 27th.
Oh, man, that's going to be so much fun.
And it's free to anybody who wants to walk through it. Just looking at beautiful quilts. And
come and appreciate all the time and the talent that goes into those. Yeah, I cannot wait. That's going to be awesome.
We're excited.
So, Jess, tell us something that many people don't know about you.
Well, I'd say I'm a jack of all trades. I've done a lot of different things. Obviously, I was a dance instructor first, and then I worked at the skydive place at one point, but when I moved up to Reno for a little while, I also got into dirt bike racing in the desert. Not exactly like a straight trajectory.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
I think that is hysterical.
My husband and I have a picture of me racing in the desert in the living room, which is kind of like I've done that kind of thing. Because even I go, at this point, that was like 10 years ago. I can't believe I used to do that.
That is
But yeah, it was a good, fun, exciting diversion from regular life kind of thing.
Well, yeah. And I would imagine it created a sense of adventure for future things. What's your next big adventure thing that you want to do?
That's kind of hard.
Got an idea?
I don't know. Right now we're kind of setting goals for our family, for traveling. We love to travel.
Yeah.
Sophia's a very traveled little 6-year-old. We've been all over the place. We're really excited about possibly visiting more of the national parks and collecting like all those little
the map on your trailer that has all of the
exactly. We got a
states.
passport. We went to the Grand Canyon last year on the train from Williams.
Yes.
So that was really cool, and she was really into it. She became a junior ranger that day. She was stoked about the whole thing. So
I love it.
We can't wait to go on more of those trips. We're just kind of trying to find time to balance like the shop, obviously, and then traveling and trips, and
I love that you truly do make time for family.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is awesome.
I mean, people have asked, why are you closed on Wednesday? Well, because my kid has a million activities on Wednesday every year, it seems like. So that's just the day we have to take a break from shop life and get her to all her activities and run around. And
I love it. You stand your ground. That's important stuff.
Yeah.
And they'll come back on Thursday.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you just have to wait till 10 o'clock on Thursday morning.
That's right. And so one of my favorite questions is, what book are you reading right now?
Oh, I just reading The Mad Housewife is the name. The Mad Wife?
Mad Wife.
Mad Wife. We were walking through Barnes & Noble the other day, and the cover kind of caught my attention. Then I borrowed it from Libby because I don't need more books in my house. But I generally listen to audiobooks because I don't have time to sit down and look at a book. But I could not put that one down. It was really compelling and moving, and just when you think you know what's happening, you don't know what's happening.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it combined a lot. I like suspense, but I also like the psychological thriller is kind of usually what I like to read now.
I like it.
Yeah. I went through a strong World War II vibe with a lot of like the Nightingale and those sorts of things. But yeah, that was a really good recent book.
That sounds awesome, and I love the insight that we have into your brain and what you do and how you either entertain or educate or uplift. I find that fascinating. It's one of my favorite questions to ask people.
Yeah.
And so I know that recently you were given a very prestigious award. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
We won the first year they did it, the Creative Hub Award. It was supposed to be one of 3 awards given last year. There's a local company out of St. George called By Annie, and the owner's Annie. And she has had this, I think it's 8 years or 9 years of doing this local quilt shop contest. She's trying to just get everybody's attention to our local quilt shops, right? And so in years past, they've done it by the numbers. So the number of votes you get determines who wins their state or regional award. And then there's a country award. So the U.S. will have a grand prize winner. Canada has a grand prize winner. I think Europe has one.
Oh, wow. That's a big deal.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal. And then because they were trying to focus on not only the numbers side of things, but also like customer experience, they added the Creative Hub Award. So they were going to take a look more carefully at the stories that our customers share, and from that pick their top 3. So Annie let us know that she was looking, and she really couldn't decide and bring it all the way down to 3, and so she added a 4th because she can do that because she's the boss.
Yeah.
And when
you're
she
in
realized
charge, you can do what you want.
And she realized that we were very close to them in St. George, she was like, "Oh, perfect! I'll come and do your presentation in person." Because the prize for that particular award was a virtual presentation with Annie, which we would have been able to do as well, but this allowed us to open it up to more people because we had the amazing opportunity to use the Boulder Dam Theater. Worked with Desi and Anna on opening that up for that one-day event. It was beautiful. We had over 120 people showed up to that event, which was awesome. I learned a lot. Everybody else learned a bunch. And it inspired, we're going to be doing a By Annie Basics boot camp series of classes. So working on the skills you need to make bags, because that's her specialty is she does bag patterns, like the materials that you need for bag making is what her company specializes in. I am teaching that class actually, and we start this Saturday. So we're getting ready to start that class. It'll be like gradually getting more complicated, or different skills are added each project for 4
So then
months.
that has quilting and sewing, right? Because in order to sew the bag, you have to have that expertise or understand how to do that. But it's a little bit more
There's
than
zippers
just
and hardware and stuff that you're adding into that you're not doing in a regular quilt most of the time. So
I find that fascinating.
Yeah,
I find her fascinating that she not only wanted to inspire the people that were within her circle of influence, but now she's really opened that up. That is phenomenal. What a neat lady.
She's amazing. I mean, I didn't know all of her story, but she basically started out as just a mom who was making patterns for stuff that she needed for her life, bags that she needed for her.
Right.
And then that turned into somebody noticing how nice her bags were. Then she started writing patterns, and then she created her own company. Now she creates her own products. Like they have a new product they just debuted, like what is it called? No tool snaps. So like if you've ever put a snap on anything, you require this big grommet pusher thing, and it's kind of a pain. The new no tool snaps, you just need an awl basically to poke a hole to start it, and then they snap together, and you don't need like a lot of force or anything like that. So it just makes snap application a little bit easier. And I want to say like 8 or 9 years ago, they really revolutionized what we put in bags to give them body or stiffness.
Yes, okay.
Because you had like a really stiff option before or a really soft option, and they basically manufacture something called soft and stable that like everybody knows about now. But it's perfect for giving bags that you would make for her
a little
stand
bit
up. Yeah.
Form.
Yeah, form, but not like stiff to the point of not being able to bend at the same time. It's like the perfect in-between product.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you can store it easily,
Exactly.
but it's also going to protect the items that you're putting inside.
Yeah. So
I'm loving that. That is very cool.
Yeah.
And so I know that you are working on another opportunity to work with Miss Annie. So can you tell us a little bit about how do they help participate and help your shop?
Perfect. We're currently we have about 10 days left to vote for our shop. The voting ends on the 27th of February. You can go to, I think it's lqs.com/vote.
And we'll have that in the show notes.
Right. And you just look up our shop name, and it's just going to ask you a couple short questions about, it takes maybe like 35 seconds to complete the form all the way. Obviously, that's where we won our award, was last year, in those comments and stories about the effect that our shop has had on the community. And so there's nothing that says we can't win that award again, but we would love to be our state's winner this year. So I think the last time I checked, we were in the 70s. If we could get to 100, I think that would be closer to possibly winning that award.
Okay,
And it comes with lots of benefits for us. It brings new product into the shop that they give us, and just all sorts of opportunities for our shop to try new stuff. So.
And you had a QR code at the counter at the shop as
counter.
well, right? Yep. So I had the opportunity to vote, and I was very excited.
We appreciate that.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And so you have so much more to share, but we will be putting that in the show notes.
Perfect.
And I want people to go there and learn a little bit more about your insights into when large brand stores like a Joann's closes, what that does. I would expect in my mind, okay, great, it's going to drive more business into little guys. But there's actually, you've got some insight into that, and I want them to check the show notes out, find out a little bit more about Silver State Stitch Shop and the amazing Jessica Whittaker. We are so grateful to have you, Jessica Ruiz Whittaker.
Yeah, exactly.
I need to throw that in there because we need to honor those amazing parents. And
exactly.
the fact that you are homegrown right here in Boulder City.
That's right.
We're very proud to have you. Thank you so much. And I hope to have you come back because I'm sure you're going to have a million more things and community projects, community programs. And so you're amazing, Miss Jess. We love you.
Thank you, Miss Jill.
This episode of the Best Damn Podcast has been a production of the Boulder City Chamber of Commerce. Please check out all the links and social media handles on our website as well at bouldercitychamber.com. You can find the Best Damn Podcast on all your favorite podcast directories. Like us and share on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Until next time, discover, explore, and unwind in Boulder City.